Hello and welcome to my floral paper lantern tutorial. This gorgeous lantern is made entirely out of paper and is so much fun to create. Would make a beautiful wedding table centerpiece too. Could gather your bridesmaids and family for a fun crafting party and assemble one for each table. So many ways this project can be customized to fit your theme or decor. It is lit up with a convenient remote-controlled LED light puck with a rainbow of color options, but you could always use your other LEDs that you have on hand. The supplies list and SVG files are available at my website www.decouvert.com. So without further ado, let's get crafting. Here we have our pedestal pieces, and what you're going to do is you're going to take each one of these pieces and you're going to score them as follows. So these two tabs are valley folds, valley fold down here, valley fold these two, valley fold down here, valley fold here, valley fold there and here, and then this side here will be a mountain fold. Okay, so then once you've done that, what you're going to do is you're going to put a little bit of glue down here and making sure that this raw edge here is lined up along the score line. Okay, and you'll just glue this down, making sure that it's well lined up and lined up against that score line, and making sure that it can still fold, it can still valley fold. Okay, you don't want to put this past the score line. So once this is glued down, then you'll take this little tab here, and you'll glue it right here. Okay, like that. Okay, and so you'll end up with this piece here. Okay, and just to give you an idea, it's actually, this is my ratty prototype, but anyway, so it'll give you the idea. It's this piece right here. Okay, so I've started to glue these pieces together. Okay, so I've got two of these units here that I'm gluing together, and here I've made sure that I've lined up the raw edge with the score line here, and I've held it down and let it dry. I made sure that these score lines are completely lined up. Okay, now what you could do is that you could continue along and just glue along here and go down to the end, but I think to make sure that you've got the proper alignment, okay, because it's easy to get away from yourself and you start gluing down and things start to not match up. So what you can do is, again, glue down here, make sure this is dry, and then go over here, line up that point, okay, here, making sure that that score line and raw edge are completely lined up along here. Okay, making sure everything is lined up, this is lined up, the score line here, everything is lined up. Glue this down, okay, and then come at it from the back and glue down this middle section, these tabs in the middle here. And you could come at it with a scrap piece of paper, as we were doing before, and just tuck in and just glue along here. Or you can come at it from the front and put get your little piece of scrap paper and just glue it. Put a little bit of glue on here and glue down like that. Okay. So here we have our pieces to our base. So this would be these pieces over here. This is my prototype, so never mind the bad gluing job there. But what you're going to do is you're going to take these pieces here, you're going to valley fold these ones, and you're going to mountain fold this one and this one, okay? And don't be afraid of really bending them, okay? Really folding them. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold this piece here, mountain fold, and then you're going to take them here and you're going to glue this tab first, hold it down, and then you're going to probably come from behind and glue this little tab here, okay, and just glue them like so. Okay. Now once these are all glued together, you're going to take them and you're going to glue them together like so. Okay, making sure that you're lining up with the score line, making sure that this edge lines up with your score line. Okay, so go ahead and do that and we'll go on to the next step. So here we have the sections that will be going around here. Okay, again, this is the prototype, but anyways. So what you're going to do is you're going to notice you've got 3 of these sort of pieces. Okay, now you'll notice, see where the tabs are here? At this point here, this is going to be a mountain fold. Okay, those are all mountain folds. See here, that's a mountain fold. Okay, and then here are valley folds. Okay, and this one doesn't have a tab here, it has a tab here. This will be a valley fold right here. Okay, and then the same here, all at the points. Okay, those are mountain folds, valley folds, mountain folds, valley, mountain. Okay, and then here again the same sort of concept again, mountain folds, valley folds. This here, these both are going to be valley folds on these tabs here. And then once you've done that, and you've obviously scored everything, the tabs, everything, then you'll just glue them, making sure that you butt your raw edge to the score line on the tabs and just glue those down. Okay, so you'll be completing sort of a circle. Okay, so go ahead and do that. We'll go off to the next step. Okay, so now that we've glued those 3 pieces together, we are going to glue these 2 together. So again, you had your mountain fold at your points here, and you're going to line them up, put your tabs on the inside, and line up those points with the points of the other piece. Okay, now this may be tricky initially. Okay, so you're going to line it up like so. I probably don't have it lined up here, but anyways, my thumb's in the way. But again, this raw edge should be against that score line. Okay, perfectly, and the corners should meet. Okay, so you'll go ahead and you'll glue down all of those tabs going around like so. Okay, so just make sure though that you're accurate about those points, making sure that it really lines up both the point and along the edge here, the raw edge to score line. Okay, make sure that they meet up. So just continue along 1 tab at a time, let it dry, and then continue. Okay, and do that. We'll go to the next step. Okay, so I'm continuing along, gluing this piece to this piece here, and you'll find as you're getting closer to the end, as you're going around, it might be easier for you just to put a little bit of glue on a little piece of scrap paper and just add a bit of glue in there and glue it down like so, because it might get a bit cumbersome. I've got my fine point, but even then it's sort of getting in my way. I mean, you could maybe go in from the inside, but then you can't really see what's going on from this side, so I think it's better coming at it from this angle here. Okay, so just keep going like that with your little glue paper here, your glued scrap paper, and just continue on. Okay, so here I'm gluing the top of my base to my pedestal. Okay, and what I've done is I sort of had to shimmy it in there, just sort of squeeze gently to get this in through the hole. Okay, and then what you're going to do is making sure that everything lines up, that the points line up, the score lines, etc. Okay, now the best way I think to do this is to come at it from this way. Okay, so you'll add your glue, and then you'll make sure that this edge here is lined up with those score lines. Okay, these ones here, these score lines of the tabs, making sure that this is completely lined up. Okay, all of these lines here. And so you'll just add a little bit of glue from the inside and then come at it from here, making sure that it's lined up. Okay, and hold it down for a bit, and then go off to your next point. Okay, and just continue along all the way around. Okay, so go ahead and do that. We'll go off to the next step. Here we have our 2 pieces for our base that go around here. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to take the first piece and you're going to valley fold, and then everything. So this is these ones here are a mountain fold, and so this one here, okay, so that's a mountain, valley, and so forth. And then with this one, you're going to mountain fold all these sides too, obviously, and then this will be a mountain fold, then valley, mountain, valley, okay, and just continue on like that. And so once you've got them nicely folded down, okay, along those score lines, then you're just going to glue them together, okay, at these tabs here, and then again you'll come around and you'll glue this one in here, okay, like so. So you'll have this sort of star shaped once you're done. Okay, now that these are dry, what you're going to do is you're going to line up your mountain folds with your points of your base. So you'll just basically go around like this, okay, and glue them down, making sure again that you're lining up your raw edge and your point with your edge here, okay, and you'll just continue like so, making sure that everything is lining up as you go along, okay, one tab at a time. You could come at it from the top, or you can come at it from inside, whatever you feel comfortable with, okay, and just continue all the way along. Okay, so here I have my base. I've glued the sides, and now I'm going to glue the bottom to the base. And what you're going to do is maybe just sort of slightly lift up your tabs a bit, okay, so that they're going to, when you put this base piece on, there's going to have something to adhere to, okay? So just continue along, gluing carefully, one point at a time, and then off to the next, and off to the next. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and we'll go off to the next step. Okay, so here we have the tippy top of our lantern, and what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've folded along the score lines, all mountain folds, all along here, okay, and then these are all mountain folds, these little tabs here, this is all mountain folds, okay, and again mountain folds, all of these ones, and then these bottom ones will all be valley folds, okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to line up the raw edge here with this tab and the score line. Just put a bit of glue there, hold it down, make sure that it's nice and dry. And then what you're going to do is you're going to close this up here, this one here. Okay, glue this closed, and then you'll glue all your tabs in, making sure that you're lining up the score lines with these score lines here, making sure that they're all lining up. And then you'll do the same here. You'll close this up. Okay, you'll close this one up, and then you'll line all of these up like so. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then we'll go off to the next step. Okay, so I completed gluing our topper together, and just so you know that, as you're going through, when you're gluing this together, just a little tip is you can use like a little piece of scrap paper with a bit of glue on it, and just sort of tuck it underneath there and hold down the tabs, Just go tab at a time, making sure that all your tabs are tucked in, okay? And also you'll notice too is when you were gluing this area here, I mean there's a very thin sort of seam allowance. So just make sure you tuck that in and you're lining up those raw edges against that score line as you go, okay? So go ahead and do that and we'll go off to the next step. Here I have the top of my lantern, this piece. Now I did go ahead and glue this down, but prior to that is what you need to do is just mount and fold along all these score lines. And then you're going to glue down the tab, make sure it's completely dry. And then what you're going to do is you're going to insert your topper. Now of course these tabs are all valley folds, okay? But you may want to kind of bring them forward a bit. And what you're going to do is just making sure that when you insert this, that you're lining up these score lines with the score lines on this piece here. Okay, and then just go tab at a time, just kind of tuck in those tabs. All right, like so. Now, another thing is before you do that is also make sure that, you know, this seam here and this seam here are lined up, just to make it look neater too, because you can put that to the back so you don't see the seam as much, even though it's not that noticeable here, but you could do that too. And then you're just gonna, you know, glue these down, again making sure that those score lines are all lined up. It is a snug fit, so just take your time with it. Okay, all right, so do that, we'll go off to the next step. Okay, so another little tip for this topper bit, and when you're gluing it to this piece here, is just make sure that, see in this crack area here, make sure that it's lining up with that score line, okay? Because I noticed as I'm gluing it down, it wanted to kind of come away, and you want to make sure that this is nice and rounded and it's right up butt against that score line. You can't really see it here right now, but you just want to make sure that it's really butt up against it as you're going around and gluing it. You can just kind of, you know, take your finger in here and just make sure that it's, put a little bit of pressure there and make sure that this butts up against the base of your topper. Okay, so here I have the pieces that are going to be going around my top of my lampshade, and you just want to make sure that you've mount and folded this sort of inner curve, and this will be these ones will be valley folds. Okay, this will be mount and fold, and then what you're going to do is you're going to glue them down like so. Okay, glue down those tabs here, making sure that again that you're lining up that raw edge with the score line. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then we'll go off to the next step. Okay, so I'm just gluing this side here to the top bit here. I've just gone ahead and I've been using a toothpick and kind of pulling these little tabs back and then putting a little bit of glue here and then coming over here and making sure that I have my raw edge lined up against the score line and our score lines, you know, here all lined up, and then just holding it and letting it dry. You could also use a little scrap piece of paper again and just put a little bit of glue on it and go that way. So yeah, so you just continue along again, just letting it dry and then go off to the next section and continue on like that. Okay. So here we have the sections of our lantern. And what I've gone ahead and I've folded along the score lines. So, you know, just a little bit here. Just watch the design as you're doing this. So you're not like folding the design. You're just going along the score line. So you're doing mountain folds everywhere. Okay, except for these three lines here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. These will be valley folds. Make sure to fold these down really well. Okay, and now inside here will all be mountain folds. So again, this 1, 2, 3 valley folds, and then here these 3 tabs on the side here are valley folds. Okay, and then these will all be mountain folds. Okay, so here I have the section of the lantern shade, and I'm just adding vellum to the back of it. And what you're going to notice, you're going to have a left side and a right side. Make sure you've got the right one, and it is, you know, right side up as it was cut on your machine. And you're going to just sort of tuck it under like so, flip it over, and make sure that you've got the vellum is lined up with the top and it's centered. You'll have about a 1/16 of an inch between the score line and the vellum, and just sort of make sure that this is all centered. And you'll just be putting a bit of glue, you know, section to section, just slowly go down all the way to the end here. But don't just go ahead and put a whole bunch of glue on there and then just try to stick it on, because you'll find that it'll get misaligned and it's tough to come back, and you end up ripping the vellum or ripping your cardstock piece. So I would just do a little bit of glue at a time and just continue along. And you don't, you don't have to do the middle section, so just around the sides. And then with the right side, it'll be the same process, but you'll have to pay particular attention to this side here, okay? Because that is going to be what's going to be connecting your next piece. And what you'll find is if this vellum isn't properly glued down, it may pull up, and which means when you go to put this piece on, it may not adhere properly. So just pay particular attention to this this right side here, making sure that this vellum is glued down properly. Okay, what you'll do is you'll just go ahead and you'll make sure that you're lining up these little score lines here and going along. Start in the middle towards the end, and just go tab at a time, making sure that you're lining up your raw edge with the score line, and just hold the tab and continue. Okay, don't use too much glue so you don't get it all messy. And again, going down here, taking your time, making sure to let it dry, and continuing on. Okay. Here I've completed 3 sections. I believe there are 9 of these sections to do. I put the vellum on, and then what you'll do is you're going to be gluing these again, lining everything up and going from tab to tab. Okay, and just take your time with it as you're going along, making sure to line up that raw edge with the score line. Okay, and then you'll put all 3 of them together. Okay, so I completed gluing all 9 sections of my lantern shade, and so what I did is I did them, I put together the 3 sections first, and then I went and put all of those 3rd sections together. But you're going to find is that it is going to fight you a bit because you're coming along this curve, so it is going to want to pull apart. So instead of starting from one end and working your way over, I think it's best to secure the bottom and the top points. So what you can do is just align this one, this tab here, glue that one down, make sure it's aligned with the score lines here, and of course the raw edge is butt up against that score line. Hold that down, make sure it's nice and dry, and maybe do this next section here, and then do your top section, and maybe the second one down, and hold that, and make sure it's nice and dry, nice and secure. And then you're going to come in, you're going to take a peek through here to do your tabs that are around the curve. And what I did is I took a little piece of paper like this with a little bit of glue on it, and I brought my hand in here, and I just put a little bit of glue on those tabs. So let's say I would have put a bit of glue here, and then I would turn it over, and then I would hold it down, and with one finger inside and one finger outside, and just hold it down, until it's nice and dry, and then I would come and do the next tabs along that curve in the exact same way, and just continue that way. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then we'll go off to the next section. So now we're going to add our topper to our lampshade. So I think the best way to do this is to take it and just sort of insert it through the bottom, okay, and then bring it up through the top, and make sure that you're lining up these score lines with these lines here, okay, and then just sort of push it through until this edge meets the score line, until this edge here meets the score line of the tabs. Just kind of, and all the time making sure that you have it so that these score lines line up with these lines here, okay, and then you'll come in from the inside and glue all those tabs down. Again, a tab at a time, making sure that you have everything aligned from the right side. Okay, so just, and then you hold down those tabs and then just continue all the way around. Okay, so I completed gluing the topper to my lantern shade. Now, a little tip on how I went about gluing this is I just made sure, again, I made sure that I had it positioned correctly. I had all my score lines lined up and the score lines of the tabs lined up with the raw edge of the lantern body. And I went in from the inside. Now, I don't know if you can see that here. Okay, and I went in, and if you can see these the little tabs, I went in with a little piece of paper, again, my trusty little piece of paper with glue on it, little scrap, and I just went in there. I don't know if you can see this, but I went in there, put a little bit of glue on those tabs, on one tab, and once I had that, I would turn it over, and then with, you know, one hand inside and the other one outside, I would just hold it down and glue it. Hold it down and make sure that it's secure, and make sure that these, again, everything is lined up. Okay, and I just would continue one tab at a time, doing it exactly the same way. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then we'll go off to our next step. So here we have the our pieces of veneer. You will notice that there's a left side and there is a right side. And so what you're going to do is, if it's basically the same sort of process, except you're going from the outside as we did with the vellum. So, you know, we had our single piece, if you recall, and it was sort of attached in the middle with a score line here, right? And so this is your left side and this is your right side. And you're going to take this piece and make sure that it is butt up against the topper here. So you'll just put it on so that it's right lined up there. Okay, make sure it's right up against that topper, and make sure that it's also aligned here along your score line. And you just slowly, you can just, you know, maybe glue a portion of it and then continue gluing, as you can see here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to line it up with that score line here. Just make sure that it's butt up against that as well. So just, okay. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll go off to our next step. Okay, so here I have my LED light puck, and it just takes 3 AAA batteries, and it comes with a nice little handy remote here. And basically what you're going to do is just going to place it in your pedestal, and what you'll do is you'll just tuck in this rim into your pedestal. Okay. So now that we've completed our project, we can enjoy all of our hard work. I'm so happy with the way it turned out, and I can't wait to put it on display. I hope you are too. If you enjoyed this project and would like to see more, do not forget to subscribe to my channel and visit my website at www.decouvert.com. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to do more crafting with you very soon.